Hello, my name's Emma Fawcett and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in Newton Abbey, Belfast, Northern Ireland. Thank you so much for joining me today in this crafty space. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this cute little box. So it's a good wee size, and then in my one is housing this little candle that I have decorated myself using tissue paper, heat gun and greaseproof paper. So I'll be also showing you how to make this little candle. Absolutely gorgeous little gift for Mother's Day or even for a birthday, and even with a Christmas stamp set. They're really lovely gifted at Christmas. So we will get started on it. So I'm going to be using this designer paper, and I've picked out this dark pink. Now in the paper pack it actually says that it is Magenta Madness, but I actually prefer Melon Mambo. I think it's a better match to it. So I've picked out Melon Mambo of it. So I'm going to show you how to kind of cut your card so that you're getting your DSP, so that you're getting the most out of it. But we'll make a start on the actual box itself. So you've got one larger piece and it is cut at 9.5 inches by 7 1/4 inches. And then I'm just bringing in my scoreboard, and you're going to score the short side at 2 1/4 inches. So this is going to be the bottom of the box here, and you're going to turn it and you're going to score at 2 1/4, 4 1/2, 6 3/4, and then at 9. Okay, so I'll run over those again. You've got 2 1/4, 4 1/2, 6 3/4, and 9, and then your short sides at 2 1/4. Okay, so I also have a little square, and it measures 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. Now this is going to be the lid, so you're going to have to use a shim for this, and it's to allow for the thickness of the card on the actual box itself. So I'm just using a piece of card that I actually cut this one off, and you're going to score 1 inch on all sides. Okay, so just make sure you're scoring that up to the shim. Just means then that your box lid won't be too tight, because it's allowing for that little width of the card. Okay, so that's all your scoring done. Then I am going to show you how to cut your DSP. So you're going to cut these into 2-inch strips. So you obviously need 4 for each side. Okay, so that's 3 sides. That's your 4th side. So if I bring out my sample, you can see then that you've got DSP down the side, and then you've got that little bit on the lid as well. So to get that little bit on the lid, you are going to bring your paper up to 3/4 inch here and cut it, and hold that little piece over, because you're going to need that, and then move your DSP to 4 3/4 inch, and that little bit's for the bin. Okay, so that's a side of the box and the side of the lid. Okay, and you're going to do that with all 4 pieces here. So 3/4 inch there, this side, and then move this to 4 3/4 inch here. That's for the bin. 3/4 inch here. Move that to 4 3/4. And then cut that. And hopefully then you'll have everything that you need, other than we just need to cut one more panel, and that'll be for the top of the lid. So we just need 2 inches then for the top of the lid. Just take this down to the bottom here. So that is all your cutting as well. You don't need your trimmer anymore. Okay, so now we're going to bring out our snips, and you are going to cut from the bottom up to the first score line. Okay. right up to the score line, then turn it, and you're just going to wedge here like that. Okay, and you're also going to wedge there like that. Now I actually should have shown you how I got the measurement, because I have made this box to fit that candle. So for me, I find it easy to measure things on my scoreboard. So, and you can see there where the wax is actually falling off the candle onto the scoreboard. So I set my candle straight into that corner and push it as tight as I can, and it is just shy of 2¼ inches. So I knew each section of my box had to be 2¼ inch. Same as the box here, you can see at the base it was 2¼ so that's why your first score line on your short side was 2¼ to make it your base. And then obviously each side's 2¼ so 2¼ plus 2¼ gets you 4½, plus 2¼ gets you 6¾ so that is how I size my box. Okay, so burnish your lines now. The scoreboard's actually really easy, but equally you can see your grid paper here. Move this up. You could set it down here as well and use it here. It's just, I like the scoreboard because it's obviously got a sturdy edge, so you can really push it in and get that line that you need. Okay, but if you don't have a scoreboard, then you can certainly use your grid paper. It's just if you're trying to get measure two sides at once. Okay, just keep scoring. Get all your lines, get all your creases nice and crisp. Okay, now I find it easy to decorate it whenever it's flat, but if you prefer to build it and then decorate it, it's up to you. So we got a glue here. Again, I'm using the spreader ender of my Tombow, just because I'm doing larger areas. Okay, and I have cut these so that there is a nice border of cardstock all the way around. So just try and get it into the middle. And obviously if your paper is directional, this is the base, so you want your pattern to be facing down the way. Try and get them all in a line here and all in a line at the top. Top doesn't matter so much because obviously the lid's going to come down, but you definitely want them to be matching along the bottom and there to be that nice little equal border all the way around them. I love this paper, so cheery. And the colour scheme in it is lovely. Really summery. Okay, so now to build the box. So bring this in. Just set it down there, make sure the flaps lie flat. Now you could use tear tape for this, or I'm just happy with my Tombow. I think it's the perfect thing for boxes because you have that wiggle space if something's running off. Okay, and just bring that down like that. Okay, you set your box up in the end and you're going to do opposite sides. So that one in. I always put a little bit of glue on. It doesn't really matter. It's just as long as there's glue on the final piece. So the seams here. So I want that one because I want this to be the front of the box. And then the last one, I'll be a wee bit more methodical about my glue. Set it up. If you want to, you can just set your candle down into that and that will press all the sides or all the layers on the bottom together. Okay, so you can see there, nice, clean and tidy. So Now we're going to decorate our lid. So here's our lid. So we squares 2 by 2 inches. And then again, whenever you're doing your rectangle panels, the pattern has to be facing down. Okay, get them all lined up. Okay, move it around, and again, the pattern needs to face down. I know obviously the center one's not going to always face down because it's always going to be one way that it matches, but not the other 3 ways. So, but these ones definitely do have to face down. Okay, so now I'm going to bring in my snips again. And so these little rectangles have to stay as rectangles, but the squares, they're going to form our tabs. So I'm going to cut up to that first line, go to the right hand side and take a wedge like that, and then wedge from here to the score line too. So if I set it down, you can see how much of the square I've taken away. Turn it clockwise and do the same again. So up there, go to the right hand side, take a wedge there too. Turn clockwise and do it again. Up the line, go to the right, to the point, and wedge here too. And the last one, go to the line, go to the right and into the point, and then so you can see whenever I set it down how much we actually took out of them. That's just to give your nice clean lines whenever you're putting your lid together. So I'm going to burnish these as well. So you're going to glue on this side of your little tab. Make them line up. Now, if I was you, even though we have used a shim, sometimes it just is a little bit too tight. So we get 2 on, bring your box in, set that over, okay? And then we can glue these last tabs, and it just means then you are in control of how tight that lid is going to be. And then in this last one here. Okay, so tuck that in there. That one in there. You're just going to hold those ones in place. Because you want it to be snug but not too tight, where you're struggling to get it on and off and it's catching on everything. Okay, once you're happy with it, just take it off, give it a little press. Now if you have wee mini clothes pegs or something, you could put those around it, but then that should just slide on and off there. There should be a little bit of resistance because you don't want to be just like flying about the place. Now that is your box complete. If you wanted to, you could do like a nice wee piece of ribbon around it with a nice bow, or you could actually cut some of the rainbows out using the dies and do like a bit of a belly band going around the outside of the box, or a nice loopy bow on the top if you didn't want to do DSP on it. So the last thing we're going to do now is we're going to do our candle. So I've actually picked out the colours from this. So I've got Pool Party, and I've got Blushing Bride, Mango Melody, and again, I'm not going with Magenta Madness, I'm going to go with Mango Melody. So I'm just going to copy that onto a piece of tissue paper. So this is my tissue paper. Now, I do not buy tissue paper. I've never bought tissue paper, and I do make quite a lot of candles for gifting to people, especially at Christmas and for classes and stuff. This is tissue paper that I have received a package in, and it's been just put in there to protect whatever's come. So if you receive anything in the mail or post that has tissue paper, always hang on to the tissue paper because it will always come in handy. Now, the rainbow rings or stripes, I started the little one and worked my way up. It's just, I find it easier to do it that way rather than big going down. I don't know why, I just find it easy. So I'm going to start off with Melon Mambo as my little one. Now equally, if you want to do an image where you have to colour in, it's absolutely fine. I would probably use Stampin' Up markers because they don't seem to bleed out as much on the tissue paper. But it's just something that you will need to experiment with yourself and find what works best for you. Now when you're stamping these, it doesn't matter if there's a bit of a gap. I fit, so see the line of that? I fit the small one into that line and it just fits perfect. But you still get like a little bit of a gap. That's just me. You may find your own easier way of doing it, but that's how I do it. So I'm going to go with Blushing Bride next. Candles as well, you can pick them up in quite cheap in like pound stores and things like that. What I will say is try and stay away from like the reds and the blues. Try and stick more for like pale cream or white because you're going to be able to see your colours of your images better. In my last ring, I'm doing Pool Party. And the sentiment I'm going to stamp is You Make Me Happy from Rainbow of Happiness. I'm going to stamp it in Misty Moonlight. Okay, so just because you also, now you don't have to put a sentiment on it, but for me it just makes it a bit more personal. So just tidying up here. Okay, so whenever you're cutting out your tissue paper, you want to go as tight to the image as you can without actually hitting the image. So just leave it with a nice wee border all the way around. Take your time because tissue paper is quite fiddly and delicate. It can crease up very easily and it's very easy for it to slip on the blade of your scissors too and you end up taking away more than you want to. So that's the rainbow cut out. And then the sentiment. So again, just go as close as you can to the ink. It just means you have less to melt into the candle when the time comes to put the image into it. As I said, this technique's really nice with Christmas candles because you can bring in glitter glue and things and like line snowy scenes with the glitter and it really does turn out very pretty. This was one of the projects that we did. Now, in the end, we did end up actually putting in a sentiment, a Christmas sentiment there, but I don't know if the camera's picking up, but there is like the Stampin' Up Crystal Effects glue is on the roof of the house there, but you could get a glitter glue that would be a bit more obvious. Okay, so you're going to get your candle. Just make sure there's like no hairs or any fluff or anything stuck to it because the candle does pick up a bit of static. And you are going to put your image on it. Now it's up to you what side you want to do. I do the bold side up, which is the side you've stamped on. You can see that's slightly paler, but you really want as much colour to be shining through because basically the principle of this is you are going to melt the top layer of the wax of the candle and then it absorbs the image into it. So you want her to be bright, as bright as you can possibly get it. Like maybe Pool Party and Blushing Bride maybe wasn't a good choice because it's more a subtle colour, so you might have been better sticking with your bright. Then you're going to get a piece of greaseproof paper. Okay, and you're going to press that on really tight and like hold it around the back really tightly. Now you need to keep your hands out of the way because obviously the heat gun's going to heat up really hot and you don't want to be getting burnt. So you're going to start off. Now I always go to the setting 2 on the Stampin' Up heat tool. I would highly recommend Stampin' Up heat tools. I've got 2 or 3 different heat tools, but the Stampin' Up one's the only one that doesn't really overheat and you have to wait for it to cool down. It just seems to go a bit longer than the other ones, especially whenever you're doing classes or if you're making these quite often or like you're making a batch of them. So I definitely would recommend the Stampin' Up heat tool. So I say, obviously it's going to be noisy, so we'll just start off slow. Now don't go too close with the heat gun. And you'll notice that the images will become a bit more obvious underneath the greaseproof paper. So if I bring that up to the camera, you can see how much more obvious that's getting. So that means that the wax, top layer wax, is melting. So once you see that happening, you keep moving. You don't want to be on the same spot constantly. I'm going to go down here and do the green. You can see how much more obvious that's getting. Just turn that off and then just gently unwrap it. Okay. And then if you see any little pieces where the tissue paper hasn't got melted in, don't worry. You can just go over it again with your heat gun, melt your wax again, and then that will hopefully suck that back in again. And that is your candle complete. And then once it's cool, you can just slide it into your box. And that is it. Now again, if you wanted to, you could run over that with a wee bit of glitter glue or something like that, just to give it a bit of sparkle. Everyone loves a little bit of sparkle in their lives, and obviously you can change your sentiments and your images. It really is, the only limitation is your imagination. You can literally put anything on those. That one I did use brighter colors. I'll bring my original one out here and you can see. So you can see the color difference. So that one was Granny Apple Green, Melon Mambo, Mango Melody and Pool Party. But you could maybe swap that out for the Misty Moonlight and it might pop a bit better. But it just depends, you know, if you want something a bit more subtle or something a bit more obvious. But the boxes are so easy. Even if you did want to do candles, like they're a good size for putting anything in, really. As I say, I have done them quite plain. You could go a wee bit more exotic with them and do belly bands and ribbons and loopy bows on the top of them. But as I say, I just wanted these ones sized for, because I thought they'd be good for Mother's Day gifts. So that is me finished. Hopefully I have inspired you and this tutorial has been helpful. I'll maybe inspire you to get crafting and do something different other than making cards, make your own candles. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll put a list of all the products that I've used. Obviously this DSP is now retired. But I'm sure there's other beautiful DSPs that you have in your crafty stash. Or you could actually try stamping out your own just on white card, just using all the same colours. If you need anything, just get in touch. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.